everybody, and welcome back to Girl, Dad, and Popcorn. I'm Girl.
And I am Dad.
And today we're going to be reviewing A Complete Unknown, directed by James Mangold. And this film follows the life of Bob Dylan between 1961 to 1965. And it follows his life from that time that he was making that folk music to going into more of that rock and roll towards 1965. And people weren't too happy about it. And so we see not only like what it took for him to play at the Newport Festival, but everything that went behind the scene. And so that was the film.
Yeah, what I really like, I didn't do my background study on Bob Dylan. I'm glad I didn't. I didn't do a lot of studying at all on this film because I wanted to see how well will the director draw me in to a genre that I'm unfamiliar with, which is folk music, not that familiar with it. I grew up on hip hop, R&B, I love jazz and soul, neo-soul, but I never really, I respect all genres, but I just really didn't know anything about folk music. And didn't know anything about Bob Dylan. I knew his name. I knew that his name is respected in music, and that's it. And I really enjoyed this film. I have an interest now in folk music, an interest in Bob Dylan. Even I think James Mangold did such a great job with this film. Now I'm interested. I didn't see Walk the Line, with Johnny Cash. He did the movie on Johnny Cash music.
And he was in the film, so.
Right. And so this was just a great musician biopic to me. And what I really love about the movie, I just love the mysterious character. This Bob Dylan just drops into this folk music, drops into this genre, the scene with Woody Guthrie, when he shows up. And again, he's just from Minnesota. It's like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
But he shows up and he sings for Woody Guthrie, and he just draws them in. And it's like Bob Dylan was a mystery to himself too. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he had this gift and this ability to just write songs. I love that it was not a musical, but it was like, Timothy did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid is he's a great actor. And but the way he sang, it was just a lot. The movie was about the songs. I love, I'm a big history buff, and currently I'm reading the autobiography of Malcolm X and Dr. King, kind of reading them parallel, and that 60s, what was going on, the Cuba Missile Crisis was going, all the things that were going on in the peripheral. It's like this Bob Dylan mysterious character was dropped into this. He just came into this political time. Kennedy had just got killed. Malcolm X had gotten killed. The music was responding to the culture, and I just really enjoyed how James directed this movie. To me, he has that gift. And I'm trying to think some of my other notes I put down. The political act. Oh, the realness of Bob Dylan. Now, he was called a butthole in the movie. They used another word. But I saw it as, it was like he was a realist. Yeah. And sometimes to a fault. But like when he told... I think it was a Joanne or Joan? Joan, when he told Joan, he was like, your music like oil painting at a dentist's office. And she was like, that's what she said, Bob, you were. But he was being real, and I would want someone to be real with me about my music or my writing. And at the end of the day, it might have just seemed a bit callous for him to say it like that. but he was being honest, and he was a musician. He was a phenomenal songwriter, and at the end of the day, I kind of like he was right, you know, pertaining to. I mean, you know, I think that was. It might have been a little rough to say it that way, but that's what I really liked about the movie. His character, he drew me in.
Yeah,
it drew me in, and I'm trying to think of some other powerful parts I wrote down. To me, far as it showed the power of music, I love when he was singing "Times Are Changing." It showed how gifted this guy is. You know, basically he came and like was the savior of this folk music, and they were so drawn to him. And when he was singing Times Are Changing, it was like that was his first time singing a song. And the whole audience, they were singing the hook. And it was like, that shows how gifted and compelling it was. It's almost kind of remind me, it's interesting how different genres of music are connected. When I watch, you know, sometimes I watch MCs battling. MC battling. And they when they freestyle and they'll say a line and it'll be like a dope line, and then they'll come back and say it again, and then the whole crowd will like say it because it was that impactful. And that's what he was doing. It was like he had control, and his gift was so deep and awesome.
And it was also something that was new, because when you think about it, Bob wasn't even able to sing a lot of his music at first because he had to keep singing just covers. It was cover after cover after cover. And people were like, people aren't interested in a story of a 20-year-old, a young face. Like, they don't care about what he has to say. Like, they want to hear the music. And what's so beautiful about what Bob Dylan did is he was like, no, we're about to sing some new songs. Sing to me a new song. You know, I know that's different, but like, it was just to the fact where he kept pushing boundaries. And I think what's so interesting is when someone who is a boundary pusher, people applaud them until they push their boundary. And then that's when they're like, oh, wait, you've gone too far now. And so even when he started to introduce the guitars, introduce a little bit more of the blues, introduce more pianos and things more than just a guitar and singing, people are like, wait, we like when you were innovative, but you're way too much now. And it was such a powerful scene at the end where like he started to, you know, sing rock and roll, and people were just like, boo, get him off. And then he sang his like 3 songs, got off the stage, and they're like, okay, bring him back on. And then when he came back on with that harmonica and his guitar, people, whoa, yeah. And it was so like, that was such a powerful moment to me, because it was just like that quick they switched, that quick the audience was just like, they went from hating him to loving him because they had to love him within their own boundaries, you know? And I didn't even realize how powerful rock and roll music was in that time. And not even powerful, but just how controversial it was, because people were really giving him a hard time. They was like, don't you be doing that. And I was looking up some research, and people were saying how Bob Dylan was like one of the first people to really make adults be like, no, this is music as well. You can't say this isn't music, because it was a whole epidemic of parents being like, no, my kid ain't listening to this rock, because it was so different. And from rock and roll, that's where rock and roll you had birthed. Like, it kept going with hip hop and all that, but that was the first turn, the first almost like rebellion in music before, like, and it was all leading up. And I even kind of felt like how the intensity of it all leading up to even like 1971 with the Vietnam War, like, because that's when music was really like going crazy, was up until that point. And so yeah, and I really loved even what you said about like the time that this was, because it was such an intense time. And I really love the way that James Goldman wrote this, where he didn't ignore what was going on in the world.
James. I know you want to keep calling this guy Goldman, but it's Mangold, because Goldman sounds good. I know, like Goldman and Sachs, money.
Y'all, I've been trying so hard. You don't even understand how many times you have to redo the intro. It was insane. Mangold.
Mangold, yeah.
So James Mangold, but I really love the way he directed it in that way where, yes, it was about Bob Dylan and his story, but he didn't ignore what was going on around him. He had included like JFK being assassinated. He had the freedom rights. Like he had like all of that in it, and it really even showed you where like Bob Dylan was.
It was to a point sometimes that it didn't even feel like a biography. It felt like a movie about that time. And you had this mysterious character, Bob Dylan, that dropped in. And it's interesting too, because about conserving things versus the liberty and freedom. They was trying, they really wanted to control Bob.
Control the freedom.
Yeah, and it was just like, I'm free. There is a maturation process, because when he first stepped into this folk space, he loved it. He was, he would not have been able to expand it and take it to that next level. Oh, and we got to talk about Peter Siegel, played by Ed Norton. Ed Norton is a phenomenal actor. That Peter Siegel, I think that's correct. Yeah, his character, how he was betrayed. He felt betrayed by Bob Dylan. And that part really was just so compelling, because Ed did such a good job. And I did kind of feel for Pete, because I'm like, this kid comes in.
You put him on.
You put him on. He saves folk music, or he elevates it. He takes it to, it's like he always used Michael Jordan. It's like Michael Jordan took basketball to a whole nother level. Basketball was just like basketball. It was great. But Mike came in with the baggy shorts. I want to be like Mike, Air Jordan, all of that. Took it to another level. That was Bob Dylan. He took folk music to another level, and he had all this trust. And then it's like that scene when they were at the festival and Pete was about to go grab that mallet and just tear down the whole sound equipment, and his wife was like, don't go there. But that was just powerful, just actors, with Timothy having Bob Dylan dialect, how he speaks, and Peter and Ed Norton. It just really showed you the depth of the betrayal that Peter Siegel felt when they went electric. And it was just powerful. But what I can feel Bob, because I'm one of those people that I don't like to be controlled, and I'm not, some things don't need to be conserved. You need to let it grow. That music needed to grow, and let Bob, how you gonna put someone that talented in a cage? You can't. You can't. So, and I see Bob's dilemma, because he was like, yo, Pete put me on. But brother, I gotta fly. There's a maturation process in music where I gotta flow. I gotta fly. You know what I'm saying? So I love that film. I really did. I loved it. And
so what would you rate it? 1 through 4.
I'm giving it a solid 3. I say eagerly go see it. I saw it, and I'm not a Bob Dylan fan, don't know much about Bob Dylan, but after watching that film, it drew me in, so I'm thinking someone that's a fan, like a true fan of Bob Dylan, the songs, because if I'm a fan of any artist, I want to hear the music. And Timothy, that kid, did such a great job singing from the front of that movie to the end of it. It was about the music. You had a chance to see into his life, how he changed when success came. He was not a nice guy when it came to the ladies. He broke some hearts. That was that realism going off, into the deep end where you being real and true to yourself, but he hurt people in that process. That's part of, that rock and roll life. I love the Johnny Cash connection. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was, I would say eagerly go see it. That's to me. And if you're a Bob Dylan fan, I would think that you would love it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm on a solid 3.
Y'all, I felt indifferent leaving the theater. I did, because really seeing it as a biography, seeing it as a biopic, I would give it a solid 2, where I would say, go see it. I won't say eagerly go see it. And the only reason why I say that is because I love the music. But one of the things I do want to highlight too, I really appreciate Timothy and how he even learned guitar chords, because I feel like a lot of times when people like play guitar in movies, they'd be like if y'all, I don't know if y'all know like Camp Rock and stuff, when they was just like not making a chord at all, but like he really did. I saw that G chord, I saw that C chord, and he was really doing his thing. And I think he really respected the role and the character. And even when you look at Bob Dylan in real life, you can see how Timothy really studied his mannerisms. And so I feel like if you are a Bob Dylan fan, that Timothy really did respect this role, and it was great. And I loved again how even James Goldman
Mangold,
guys, I don't, you know what it is?
Keep going. James Mangold. It's all
James
good.
Mangold. Because, Mangold.
Man
okay.
first and then gold.
Okay.
Gold and
but even,
it was man and then he found gold.
I'm sorry, James. But what James Mangold, I really do appreciate how the world that he created within it. But I do feel like for me, the storyline just felt a little bit weak in between the songs. And it felt like sometimes because it was over a span of 4 years, but sometimes you feel like you're in the same year and the next you know it's 2 years later and you're like, whoa. And I would have loved to see more writing about that world coming into his space. But it kind of felt like I was going from song to song to song, which is cool. But as me, because I love to write, like I would have loved to see more dialogue that pushed the storyline further, that wasn't like different clips of his life all stringed together to make a film. I would rather see it all flow together, and that's just my opinion. And so I would say a 2.
Okay, well that's it, a complete unknown. I think that's good. You're saying go see it reluctantly, and I'm saying eagerly go see Bob do his thing, or Timothy do his thing. Great film. All right.
Ciao.